Hey loves, and welcome back to another video. This week we're going to be talking about Azula, and if Azula has the capability to change. Azula is the prodigy of the Fire Nation. She's an elite military strategist, a firebending master, daughter of Ursa and Ozai, younger sister to Zuko, older sister to Kiyi, and the Fire Nation princess. At the age of 14, she was able to capture the Earth Kingdom capital of Ba Sing Se, something that her uncle was unable to accomplish. Not only that, but she became the head of the Dai Li and was imperative in halting the invasion of the Black Sun. There are people who feel as if Azula shouldn't have a redemption arc, that Azula is incapable of change. They applaud Zuko for his redemption, yet don't want to offer Azula the same reconciliation. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Zuko's redemption arc. It's well written and captivating. It's quite possibly one of the best redemption arcs that I've seen. I'm in no way trying to bash Zuko's redemption. He deserved every bit of it. Yet, when Azula is brought up, people seem to be divided. Some people seem to think that her actions are unforgivable. They think that it wouldn't be satisfying to see her story end with redemption. There are others who think that if there had been a book 4, that Azula would have deserved redemption. In the context of this argument, let's define what I mean when I say redemption. Redemption, the action of saving or being saved from sin, error, or evil. Azula during the events of the show is about 14 or 15 years old. Azula grew up indoctrinated in the Fire Nation culture at that time. When Aang, also known as Kuzan, goes to school for a few days in the Fire Nation, we learn about what they're being taught. For a pop quiz, the headmistress asks the class what year Fire Lord Sozin defeated the Air Nation army, to which Aang responds with,
Kuzan?
Is that a trick question? The air nomads didn't have a formal military. Sozin defeated them by ambush.
It's safe to assume that Azula also grew up learning about the Fire Nation sharing their greatness with the world. Given the nature of her role as the princess of the Fire Nation, she also has certain obligations and expectations that need to be fulfilled. In no way, shape, or form could Azula rebel against her parents, more specifically her father, Fire Lord Ozai. She saw what he did to Zuko during their Agni Kai after he interrupted a meeting. Azula could only ever be obedient. There's also her family dynamic that comes into play that's really important. Azula feels as if her mother favors Zuko over her. Azula believes fervently in her heart that her mom thinks that she's a monster. Ursa is constantly trying to correct Azula's bad behavior. There's no doubt that Azula is a troublemaker, but what child isn't kind of a troublemaker though? Another thing to keep into consideration is that most children don't really like it when they're being told what to do, or when they're being told what they're doing is bad. On top of that, since Zuko is so kind-hearted, Ursa doesn't typically need to parent him in the way that she needs to parent Azula. As a child, seeing this difference in parenting styles would likely cause jealousy or feelings of betrayal. This is why Azula is so desperately clings onto any praise that Ozai gives her. She doesn't see him as the Fire Lord. She sees him as her dad. Ultimately, we cannot help who our parents are. So whenever Ozai praises her misconducts and Ursa shakes her head, who else is she going to cling to? Who else is she going to listen to? In turn, Azula and Zuko don't really know what's going on behind closed doors. I'm sure neither of them knew how their parents met or that their parents are fighting. Ursa was taken away from her hometown, taken away from her soon-to-be husband to be with Ozai. She doesn't want to be there. Ursa is more loving to Zuko because she knows that Ozai is cruel to him on purpose. On the other hand, Ozai doesn't mind when Azula acts up. This toxic family dynamic, paired with them being the royal family, coupled with the war going on, isn't really conducive to raising loving children. Azula also didn't have time to be away from her duties in the way that Zuko was. Zuko was banished, and in order to restore his honor, he needed to capture the Avatar. It was cruel what his father did. It's unacceptable. And while capturing the Avatar would have helped with the war, they were clearly doing fine without it. In essence, what I'm getting at is Zuko is able to be away from home. He isn't necessarily focusing on the war efforts. He likely wasn't even receiving communication from his father during this time, whether it be about the war or just in general. He was able to focus all of his energy on capturing Aang. Azula, unlike Zuko, stayed in the capital. She likely continued on with her training. In my opinion, she probably trained her firebending. She also probably studied different military strategies and was in constant communication with her mother. Who knows what he may have been teaching her or telling her during the years that Zuko was banished. Not only that, but she didn't have someone like Iroh who would love her and guide her. Ultimately, the person who filled that role was Ozai. Without her mother to balance out Ozai, what did you think was going to happen to Azula? Did you think that Azula was going to become lovely and kind like Ursa? Despite all this, during the Ember Island episode, Azula shows more of her humanity. When you strip away her duties, her responsibilities, and her expectations, she just wants to be a normal teenager. Azula is awkward with boys, she just wants some positive attention. And let's keep in mind that Azula goes to Ty Lee for help. Azula never goes to anyone for help. She's also cognizant of Ty Lee's feelings. When Azula insults Ty Lee, and as soon as Ty Lee begins to cry, Azula apologizes. It's something that we've never really seen from her before. Not only that, but later on in the episode, she knows where to find Zuko, and even seems to want to console him in a way. When he's upset, she asks him why. It seems like a genuine question too. Even at the end of the episode, Azula admits what's been bothering her. Azula truly believes deep down in her heart that her mom thinks she's a monster. Even though she brushes it off immediately, she still felt comfortable enough to share it with everyone. Even before this, we can see signs that Azula cares for Zuko. She goes and finds him atop a mountain with May and asks to speak with him privately. She knows that he went to go to see Iroh, who's in jail at this point in time. She doesn't go and tell Ozai, and she doesn't argue with him or anything like that. In fact, she just tells him to be careful. She mentions that if people find out, people are going to think that he's plotting something with their uncle. She didn't have to do that. She didn't have to help him out like that. Something we really need to understand is that in her mind, she truly believes that she's doing what's right. She honestly believes that the war needs to be won. She believes that the Fire Nation is sharing their greatness with the rest of the world. Azula believes this to be her fate and her destiny. That's why she's so kind to Zuko when he comes back home. She feels as if he's come back to his senses. Now, for those of us on the outside, we can clearly see that the Fire Nation is in the wrong. But if you've only ever been immersed in that culture and in that environment, how are you supposed to be able to tell that that's wrong or that's bad? I think we need to keep this into consideration when we pass judgment on Azula. Now, don't get me wrong, Azula uses fear as a tactic to keep people in line. I think because she herself is afraid. The lack of love from her mother has completely destroyed her. Azula must think that if her mother doesn't love her, then who will? As Azula is in hysterics, she says, "But what choice do I have? Trust is for fools. Fear is the only reliable way." As children, for the most part, I think most of us trust our mothers. We trust them to provide us with love, care, and comfort. They're supposed to be there for us and support us. Instead, Azula feels betrayed. She felt unloved. What happens when someone who we love and trust the most lets us down? We go insane. We go crazy. We don't trust people. Fear for Azula is the only proven method that she has seen in her life work time and time again. Through fear, the Fire Lords have kept the war going. Through fear, she saw Zuko go out and try to capture an avatar that no one had even seen for 100 years. Through fear, she saw for herself what people would do for her and for her father. Of course, she believes that there is no other alternative. So given everything that Azula has been through, I truly believe that Azula is capable of change. She just needs a lot of help. The change that Azula would need to go through is enormous. It's astronomical. I totally get that. She would need a lot of help, love, and support from those around her. Claudia Hodgins from Violet Evergarden says that you don't realize your body is on fire and burning up because of the things you did. You'll understand one day, and then you'll realize for the first time that you have many burns. Hey love, thank you for coming back to watch yet another video. If you like this video, give it a like, and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. If you'd like, click on the little bell for notifications. So, have a good night, sleep tight, and I'll talk to you all next week.